We'll start with Kyle Shanahan, obviously, who's taking the head coaching job at the San Francisco 49ers with John Lynch, with no experience as his general manager. How difficult is this transition going to be for him out there?
I think it'll be really tough for a couple of reasons. One, he doesn't have any head coaching experience, and I think that, anytime you start doing a job you don't have any experience doing, and head coaching and coordinating is just very different because of the responsibilities required for each of those jobs. It's tough to transition. Two, he's going to move from an offense that had Matt Ryan and Julio Jones to an offense that, to be frank, doesn't have Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. And so it's going to be a lot harder for him to produce immediately for the 49ers. I just think that roster is in a really bad spot. And when you add in the fact that John Lynch has zero, as you pointed out, Tiki, zero front office experience, this could work out beautifully, but there is some inherent risk built in, and that's built in with every hire. But I think it is a tough transition. I do think, though, you go back and grade this hire with 5 minutes left in the third quarter of the Super Bowl, and people are talking about an A-plus hire because of Kyle Shanahan destroyed Bill Belichick's defense, et cetera, et cetera. I still think it's a really, really good hire, and I think Shanahan will do a good job. But this is not an easy spot to win it.
No, it's not. And it's proven to be actually very unnecessarily complicated. All the noise with Balky, who obviously is gone, and of course Jed York, who has been shaky now for a while. What do you think happens here? Listen, I don't think this will be the right move because, as we just said, their roster is nowhere near ready to compete. But we know that Kirk Cousins is going to look for the max deal, or at least a deal similar to Andrew Luck. If he doesn't get that, they could franchise him for the second time. As you know, it would be a shade below $24 million, which would represent a 20% increase from what he made in 2016. You could tag him and trade him maybe to the Niners. Are they going to truly kick the tires on trying to acquire Kirk Cousins, the Niners, that is? What do you think?
Yeah, I think they'll be interested because, Shanahan has experience with him. I do think also, though, that the cost is so prohibitive for trying to work something out like that it wouldn't be surprising to me if they instead went the draft route and perhaps even brought in somebody like Jay Cutler, who remember has experience in a Shanahan system and could potentially be a free agent depending on what happens with the Bears. It might be a little bit cheaper on a shorter deal. I think the thing with Cousins, yeah, I know, right? It's the devil. The devil, the smoking devil very well versus the you like that devil you sort of know. It is not having to find a quarterback in free agency is not fun. I just think if the Redskins are in a situation that because of what happens if they don't have Kirk Cousins on their roster, that they're going to have to demand a lot for him, and just like Jimmy Garoppolo, right? The Patriots are going to have to demand a lot for him. So if you're going to be willing to trade for a quarterback near San Francisco, people are going to be asking. You're not going to give up the number 2 overall pick, but people might be asking for that second round pick, and to me, the value of whatever you have to give up in a trade is just too much to pay that price.
But here's the thing. I think I know what you're saying, Will, in theory, but if you truly believe that Garoppolo is the guy, then he's worth anything.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm with you, but here's the thing. I agree with you in the sense that if you think the quarterback is the guy, you have to go get him, and that ultimately having that talent on the roster is critical. But I think it also goes back to the idea that, like, economically, if you give up, let's say you're the Browns and you believe Garoppolo is the guy, and you give up the number 12 pick, which is someone you can have at a really cheap cost for 5 years, and then you have to pay Garoppolo after next season. I mean, the salary cap math is so skewed, and I get it that quarterbacks are going to be paid. It's a tough pill to swallow because if you miss, it's a huge miss, and that's my biggest concern is that the downside might almost outweigh the upside in both of these cases because I don't think San Francisco and Cleveland are that far along or that close to being ready to contend.
No, I can't disagree with that part. That part I think we would all sign on for and co-sign, I should say. Will Brinson with us here, CBS Sports Senior NFL writer, Tiki and Tierney.
Well, there are three veteran quarterbacks that sit on my mind about what happens to them in 2017. One is Carson Palmer, who seemingly packed up his family and belongings and left Arizona. The second is Tony Romo, obviously, and then Jay Cutler. Where do we think they all end up, or if on a couch? We don't know.
Yeah, I think Palmer is probably if someone is the closest to walking away, it would be Palmer. I remember he threatened to retire when he was at the Bengals too.
Yeah,
they didn't if they didn't trade him. So I think he comes back and takes one more run at it. I think he was better than people think down the stretch last year. Didn't have a great season overall, but certainly wasn't as bad as people expected. Romo's the one that everyone's going to watch. That's the biggest all-season storyline. I think at the end of the day, he'll play somewhere else, and probably Denver, or maybe he could end up in Jacksonville or with the Jets. If you're Jerry Jones, you certainly want him in the AFC if you're going to trade him. I just get the sense that if Tony Romo goes to Jerry Jones and says, "Look, it's Dak's team. Come on, man. I've been your guy. Let me go take a shot somewhere else." That Jerry would give it to him, even though it's not the smart business decision to just release him. You want to try and get something back for him. But
sure.
I just think he would do it. And Cutler makes sense. I really just think the San Francisco thing makes sense for Cutler. But although he may want to go somewhere where they have a closer chance of winning a Super Bowl.
He might not have a choice. I mean, at this point, how many teams really want Jay Cutler at this stage? You know what I'm saying, Will?
Yeah, but on the other hand, if you look at it, remember when his contract was such a disaster, and now I think his cap hits like 12.5 or something.
Yeah.
It's like that's actually pretty reasonable.
It's all relative to when you sign it.
For malcontent Jay Cutler.
I got you. Hey, Will, before we let you go, two other high-profile names that certainly one or both could find themselves in different cities. Adrian Peterson, Minnesota, Revis with the Jets. Do you think they're both back with their teams?
I think Peterson has to be gone unless he just does a total restructuring of the contract or just is willing to take way less money. Because if you look at the deal, the Vikings built this deal for this year to let him go, and wasn't necessarily productive. I don't think he fits with what they want to do offensively in terms of just how they want to play. And so I think he ends up going somewhere else. The Raiders would be a really good fit for him, by the way. I mean, this is a team with a great offensive line. They need some help running the ball, high-powered offense, and Peterson, and they're playoff caliber team. So that would make sense to me. I think Revis sticks around, and I just think he ends up retiring as a Jet. I think Woody Johnson, for as much as he might be miffed about the contract, I think he likes him, and maybe they move him to safety and figure out some contract stuff, but I think he sticks around.
Will, good stuff, man. We'll keep reading you. Will Brinson, CBS Sports Senior NFL writer. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.